Hi, the hand that rocks a cradle. Yeah, I'm not going to discuss about the movie. It was a great movie though. And the diagram is showing that the baby is sleeping peacefully holding mama's hand. And did you think ever that while sleeping in cradle, baby falls asleep faster? What is the reason? Or patting behind baby or with a smooth music? And yes, there is obvious neurophysiological reason behind that we are going to discuss in successive slides. So our topic of discussion is the neurophysiology of sleep and electroencephalographic changes during sleep. The cartoon here, it is showing that the patient has come to doctor's chamber with the sleeping disorders, and the doctor is prescribing a disc, and he is telling that, which is containing a PowerPoint, a PPT, and he is telling that making the people sleep since 1996. Yes, don't think I'm going to make you sleep after seeing this PPT. So wake up. Now, what is sleep? Sleep is a very interesting thing. Still, the studies are going on, and you will be amazed that a person, 25% of their lifetime, they spend behind this sleeping, and it is a volitional action. It's if you feel that you are going to sleep, then only you will fall asleep. It's a periodic. It comes in a cycle. It's a reproducible conscious deficit. Means there is unconsciousness, but it can reproduce that. How? It can be analyzed behaviorally. That is the neurophysiological responses like the muscle tone or the eye movement. And also it can be measured. The electrical activity during sleep or awake state is mainly analyzed by electroencephalogram. Continuation of the last slide, we are going to discuss about the behavioral changes during sleep. First, there is a postural changes. The person continues to change its posture during sleep. Changes in the muscle tone, which can be analyzed by electromyograph. Maybe there is a hypotonia, or sometimes there is a neck or back muscle tone. When it is increasing or decreasing, we are going to discuss later. There is a somatomotor and autonomic changes like the heart rate and respiratory changes, and increase threshold for arousal. What is that? Suppose you have given an alarm, you have to get up and catch a train in the early morning, but the alarm is ringing on and you cannot get up because there is increased threshold for arousal, decreased awareness of self and surrounding, and you can recall the dreams. And this dream is a very debatable topic, and still the study is going on about the dream. Now we are going to discuss about the factors affecting sleep. Factors that make you sleep: darkened room, then comfortable surrounding temperature, silence, noisy place, you cannot fall asleep easily, physical and mental relaxation, stress inhibits sleep, satiation of basic urge such as hunger or sex. After a great meal, you will fall asleep very easily after an orgasm also. Low frequency stimulation such as a patting or rocking a cradle for baby or a moving vehicle, you will fall asleep very easily. Now we'll discuss about the types of sleep. The sleep actually consists of two types. One is a REM and one is non-REM periods. And to describe a sleep quantitatively and to distinguish between these stages, there are three measures. Already we have told once. That is a electrical activity, what is going inside the brain. That can be measured by electroencephalogram, and movement of the eye, what is happening during REM sleep, that can be recorded by the electrooculogram, and the muscle tone, either it is a hypotonia or increase in neck and back muscle, that can be measured by electromyogram. These measures are usually because it is very reliable, and you can discriminate clearly between which type of sleep the person is going on. Based on three measures like EEG, EOG and EMG, sleep can be divided into 5 stages. What are these? First, one is a stage 1 to 4 comprised of non-rapid eye movement, that is called NREM sleep, and the stage 5 is a rapid eye movement or REM sleep. Now we'll do the proper analysis of each stage of the sleep. And first is a non-REM stage 1 and 2. This is the diagram. We can see the EEG tracing. This is a awake stage, whereas there is a both. We can see the alpha activity and beta activity. This is a high frequency, low amplitude tracing. And stage 1, actually the transition between this awake and sleep stage. So there is not so much difference, but there is you can see that actually EEG exhibits a decrease in frequency. You see there's a difference between there is a high frequency, there is a low frequency, but the amplitudes are increasing, and this is called the theta activity. And stage 2 sleep, that is the first true stage of sleep, you can say. And what is comprised of? It is comprised of there's a sleep spindle which is around 7 to 15 hertz oscillation each 1 to 2 seconds. These are sleep spindle, will show a better diagram. And also it is comprised of K complexes. In this second stage of NREM sleep, there are the two things. One is a sleep spindle and one is a K complex is present. And sleep waves and the key complexes, what is the reason behind that? Because there is a continuous synchronization between the cortex and thalamus. We will discuss later what is a thalamocortical synchronization. Because of that, this sleep spindle and key complexes arises. And due to general hyperpolarization of these neurons, this the gradual inactivation of the brain comes. Means in this period, the awake stage, there is a polarization is happening. So whenever the brain is going slow or the person is going to sleep, there is a hyperpolarization is happening. So the frequency becomes very less and amplitude becomes very high. And in the stage 2 sleep, what are the behavioral changes? It becomes a sleep during the muscle tone decreases. And remember, there's a non-REM sleep, muscle tone decreases. The eyes slowly rolls back and forth, but not like rapid eye movement sleep. And also respiration becomes more regular and slow, and body temperature begins to fall. Now, in REM sleep 3 and 4 stage, again there is a diagram. There's a continuation of the second stage. What we can see is this is the continuation of the second stage, but the stage 3, there is coming 0.5 to 4 hertz of high amplitude, low frequency EEG stressing, that is called the delta activity. Now, because of this synchronization of the thalamus and the cortex are more pronounced, and that's why the delta activity is coming. And the stage 4 sleep, the EEG tracing are mostly, you see this is the delta tracing in the stage 3, whereas a 50% of this EEG stressing, if it is comprised of this delta activity, then you can say the patient is going through the stage 4 sleep. And in the autonomic changes all are going to fall, the respiratory rate and the heart rate, and muscle becomes very loose or relaxed. Hypotonia through EMG, it can be traced, and the temperature also it falls. Now we'll discuss a very interesting part of this sleep, what is called REM sleep or paradoxical sleep. This sleep is discovered by two scientists. There's two scientists depending on the electroencephalographic changes and the electrooculogram. Here we can see this diagram where we can see this EEG and EMG and EOG is there, awake stage, REM stage, and in REM stage. This EEG during REM sleep, you can see there's almost like awake state. There's a high frequency, low amplitude compared to on NREM. There is a very low frequency and high amplitude EEG stressing, and because of the eye moves very fast, and that's why the electrooculogram changes is almost like awake state, whereas in REM there is complete no movement of the eye. And if the person is getting up and he is telling his dream vividly, that is a 80 to 95% of the dream he can remember. That means the person has waken up from REM sleep. And you can see this is the EMG, the REM sleep. The muscle tone is completely nil, you can say, compared to the awake state and NREM sleep. Temperature is also less, and that if the night progresses, the NREM duration decreases and REM increases. What happens after the stage 4? If each 30 minutes there is a REM sleep, again the stage 4, 3, 2, 1, it will go again. It will come down to dip down to 4th stage. Again 30 minutes of this REM state, and it continues like. That's why it is called a sleep cycle. And large phasic potential of the originate, which originate from the pons, pass rapidly to lateral geniculate body. The pons, there is a potential is originating, which is passing to the lateral geniculate body, which is a relay center for the visual signal, and from there it is going to the occipital cortex. That's why this spike is called the pontogeniculate spike. Clear? And now next step, the activity of the visual association area. Very interesting thing. The primary visual cortex is decreased, but the association area is coming into action during this REM sleep. Now we are going to discuss about the different EEG stressing of different stage of sleep. Electrical activity, what is happening? First, we can see here is the awake stage. It is a high frequency, low amplitude stressing. The person is getting drowsy. Here, still it is not fallen asleep, but the patient is drowsy. So the frequency is there, but amplitude also increased. The stage 1, the frequency has increased and amplitude is increased also. Stage 2, which is typically comprised of the sleep spindle. These are the sleep spindle, and these are the K complexes. Deep sleep, as we have discussed, mostly the end part of the 3rd stage and the 4th stage is comprised of the delta wave, high frequency, high amplitude and low frequency tracing. And then lastly, this is REM sleep, and this is a short-tooth appearance of the REM sleep, which is almost like the awake stage, that's why it is called paradoxical sleep. Now coming to the normal sleep cycle with the various ages, how it comes. First, here we'll discuss about the children. You see, this is the REM at this red one, or the REM stage, and this dipping down 1, 2, 3, 4. Every 90 minutes, each 30 minutes, one REM stage is coming. This is the stage 4, and here it is. This is completely one cycle of NREM sleep. Again, it is going up, and again one REM portion is coming. So you can see here, children, first 3 hours they are in REM sleep, and maximum period they are enjoying the REM sleep. Whereas the young adults, the first 2 hours there is NREM sleep, means slow wave sleep, but when there is they are also enjoying the REM sleep frequently, but less than children. But surprisingly, there is a huge change in elderly patient. They never go into deep sleep of NREM, means 4th stage. They only dip down till the 4 hours. The first 4 hours they are in the delta wave is there, means 3rd stage is there, and then less number of NREM sleep. Whereas the awakening in between sleep are much more. Now we are going to discuss about the physiological changes and the electrical tracing, how it can be recorded, like EMG and EOG, along with the heart rate and respiratory changes, what is happening in the different phases of sleep. First, here it is different types of stages, the sleep, that continuation of the last slide. The upper part is the middle part. This light blue is REM sleep, whereas this is the non-REM sleep. First, we will coming to the EOG, electrooculogram. You can see only eye movements can be stressed during a REM sleep, rapid eye movement. Then head movement means postural changes are there in NREM sleep, but in case of REM sleep, beginning and the end part, there is a head movement, but not so much of the whole during period. And the heart rate is dipping down in case of stage 4. Again, it is coming more during REM sleep. Each period of the REM sleep, heart rate is increasing. Even the respiratory rate is also increasing, and there is penile erection during only REM sleep. Now we are going to discuss about the very debatable part of sleep, that is dreams. So the still studies is going on. What is the importance of dream during the sleep period, and do the dream actually conceptualize the psychological part of the human? But the dreams both are present in REM and REM sleep. It is but the characteristics are different between these two types of dreams. Mainly the REM sleep, they are relatively long, and the visual, the detail the person can remember after getting up from the morning, the detail, and usually it is emotional, and but it is not connected to the current day-to-day life activity, but it is a completely an emotional part, and whenever the person is getting up from this, they can remember the 80 to 95% of the dream what the dreamer has been seen, and thus the Freud has been termed as a latent content of dream. Whereas the non-REM dreams are very short and less visual but conceptualist. It comprised of this day-to-day activities. So the Freud has been mentioned that it is a day's residue part, and it is a thought-like, and mentation occupies the 50% of this non-REM sleep. Without mentioning the historical experiment, the sleep discussion is not over. So here we are discussing what are the scientists which are very important for this sleep neurophysiology. First is a Bremer. He has done experiment on the cat, and suddenly he found this experiment, and what are the areas of the brain which is responsible for sleep in case of human. And first he has done this servo-isole, and then he has done the encephalo-isole. We'll discuss later what is that. And later part, there's two scientists, they have discovered the reticular formation, the nuclei of the reticular formation, which are very important for sleep physiology. And later the Raphe nucleus is discovered by Giuseppe. Now, the detailed discussion of Bremer's experiment. He was a pioneer for the field of neurophysiology, whose work was specialized with the sleep-wake cycle. By these two experiments, what we are going to discuss. First experiment was servo-isole. What is that? He has done a transaction at the mid-collicular position between two colliculi, and there is you can see after transaction, this transaction, but still this high voltage slow synchronized EEG is it can be recorded. The animal appears sleep like a barbiturate sleep and unresponsive. Animal is able to breathe by in his own. Thus, the transaction is done by midbrain position, and which is deprived of all brain ascending impulses from the reticular activating system and the spinal cord, except the olfaction and the visual impulses were going, and it was completely like a sleep, means deep sleep. And second experiment he has done, the name has been given as an encephalo-isole. And you can see the diagram from here. This is the transaction made in the spinal cord and the caudal middle, means much lower than before one. This was done here, and here the second one has done here. So what is happening? This EEG stressing has been transformed into low voltage, very low voltage, high frequency EEG, and which is like a normal sleep. Animal appears alert and responsive. Respiration must be supported. In this case, respiration, because of it is below this medullary part, so respiration should be supported. And the transaction was much lower, and the what the person is with this there is a recording of a normal NREM sleep, but there is no REM sleep. There is an altered sleep-wake cycle actually. Lately, other two scientists, they discover the reticular activating system after the 14 years of experiment of Bremer. And as the name has been given, the reticular activating system is activating the cortex, and the nucleuses are situated at the brain stem, and this nucleuses are mainly responsible for this stimulating this whole cortex, giving the alert signal. They are collecting the signal from the spinal cord, or sometimes they give the signal to the spinal cord. So reticular activating system is a polysynaptic nuclear chain in the brainstem, and it has a very good collateral coming from collaterals are coming from the cranial nerves. It is coming from the spinal cord, and it's the very important projection. It goes through the thalamus, and without thalamus it goes to cortex also, and mostly they are facilitatory, and they are responsible for arousal of a person. Now, where's the exact location of those nucleus, reticular formation and Raphe nucleus? We can see here in the sagittal section of cat. And here is the reticular formation in the brain stem. This is situated, and the Raphe nucleus is situated here. And there's a detail of this nuclei we can see here. This is the nucleus which is responsible for the pontogeniculate spike that we have discussed before. From this reticular nucleus, it secretes the neurochemical which goes to lateral geniculate body, and from there to occipital cortex, which is responsible for the eye movement. And this nucleus is responsible for the cortical desynchronization. This is a twitches. Another nucleus which is responsible for the eye muscle, and this is the medullary cardiorespiratory changes, the heart rate and whatever the respiratory changes. It is happening during different phases of sleep cycle. Now we are coming much detail of those subcortical nuclei and the chemicals also, which is responsible for sleep. And this is a diagram. You can see here that the cross section of the brain, a human brain. This is the cholinergic pontogeniculate body, that is called the cholinergic nuclei, that is part of a reticular activating system. Here is the situated the Raphe nucleus. The green one is situated. This is the Raphe nucleus, and here the locus coeruleus. So all are situated in the reticular activating system of the brain stem. And you can see here from this nucleus there are several neurons are going to cortex to keep them alert. So there is a synchronization between the cortex and this area, and along with this it is going to the thalamus and hypothalamus also. There is a synchronization between the cortical and the subcortical nucleus, and this brings sleep. And what are the neurotransmitter which is secreted from this? We are going to this reticular activating system, mainly the pontogeniculate area. This secretes cholinergic. These are cholinergic neurons. Other brainstem nucleuses are pons midbrain is a cholinergic, at this is we have discussed. Locus coeruleus is completely noradrenergic. Raphe nucleus is serotonergic nuclei. And the another very important part, which is in the present in the ventrolateral preoptic nucleus of the hypothalamus. This is not situated here. Hypothalamus, this is GABAergic. These are the area of this brain and the neurotransmitter which brings the sleep and wake cycle. As we have discussed in second stage of sleep, NREM sleep, there is appearance of the sleep spindle, and that is due to the thalamocortical feedback loop, how it generates. This is a diagram, and we can see there are the different three types of cells. One is thalamocortical cells. This is thalamus, this is cortex, this is the thalamocortical cell, this is pyramidal cell of cortex, and another one is a reticular cells. Okay, and you can see these are the positive. The cortex always give a positive signal to thalamus, both type of cell, and thalamocortical cell is under influence of the reticular cell of the thalamus, which is a negative input, and the thalamocortical cell give the positive input to both reticular and cortical cell. So when the person is in the second stage of sleep, obviously the reticular cells are getting upper hand, so this positive signals to the cortex is not there, even this is also inhibited. So there is a typical synchronization between this cortex and the thalamus during the sleep stage. But how the sleep spindle is coming, suddenly this cortical pyramidal cells give a spike potential, and which stimulates this two cell, so the sleep spindle appears. Whenever this cortical cell giving a positive signal to this reticular cells and the thalamocortical cells, this sleep spindle appears. So this is called thalamocortical feedback. Neurochemicals for sleep. Norepinephrine, which is secreted from the locus coeruleus, and Raphe nucleus secreted serotonin, and acetylcholine, which is secreted from the pontine part of the reticular activating system, which is chemical responsible for the REM sleep. And whereas a GABA, which is secreted from the VLPO nucleus of the hypothalamus, and the histamine, which is also secreted from the hypothalamus, and this brings about NREM sleep. And here you can see the norepinephrine and serotonin, which ultimately inhibits acetylcholine, and which brings about the wakefulness, and reverse happen during the REM sleep. We'll go into the next slide and we'll see the details. And the next, the GABA inhibits the histamine, which brings about NREM sleep. Now, in this flowchart, we'll discuss about the alternating activity of the reticular activating system nuclei and the hypothalamic nucleus, how it brings about the different stages of the sleep with the neurochemicals. The very important part of sleep is reticular activating system nuclei, which secretes different types of neurotransmitter. And another very important part is hypothalamic nuclei like the VLPO, and which is responsible for the circadian and the homeostatic center. Another thing we should keep in the mind that here the REM sleep, waking and the alertness and REM sleep, which is completely two different things, and it is away from each other. The chemicals are also just opposite. So what is happening when this brainstem nuclei are secreting norepinephrine and the serotonin, when it is increasing in concentration, norepinephrine and serotonin, which inhibits acetylcholine actually, and decrease acetylcholine makes the person awake. Okay, and reverse happens when these three neurotransmitter are just in the reverse position. Suppose norepinephrine and serotonin is decreased, means the concentration of acetylcholine will increase, and this brings about a REM sleep. So the reverse of these neurotransmitters are bringing this waking up and REM sleep. And now coming to the hypothalamic centers, which secretes mainly GABA. If the GABA concentration increases, which inhibits the histamine activity, and this histamine activity ultimately inhibits the thalamus and the corticus, that is a thalamocortical loop, whatever we have discussed, and which inhibits this thalamus and cortical nuclei, and ultimately it brings about NREM sleep. And just reverse happens while there is a waking up, and when this during waking up the GABA concentration must go down, and in turn because of the gamma concentration histamine concentration will increase, and this histamine concentration will stimulate the thalamus and the cortical nuclei, and ultimately the person will be awake. The importance of the sleep. As we know, sleep is very important for the restoration of the mind, the physical strength and the mental strength. There is a consolidation of the memory. You can rejuvenate between this sleep and then wakefulness. And another important debatable part of the sleep is a dream. That is also. Now, time to summarize for this long discussion. This is a very composite diagram to summarize the stages of the sleep. This is a EEG tracing. This is the first stage. This is almost like a awake stage tracing. There is a high frequency, low amplitude when the person is falling asleep, and then second stage is comprised of the sleep spindle and key complex. Third stage, late part of the third stage is started the delta wave. This is the delta wave. The fourth stage can be recognized by the presence of low frequency and high amplitude delta wave. And this is the paradoxical or the REM sleep. You can see rapid eye movement, brain waves are there, and dreaming are there. Person can wake up from the dream which can be remembered, but that is not the day-to-day life activity. It is mostly emotional dream. This is a composite diagram to explain the circadian rhythm and the sleep-wake cycle together. First, we'll start from here. Suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is present in the anterior hypothalamus, getting the photic transmission signal from the retinohypothalamic path. It is giving a signal to the pineal body. This suprachiasmatic and the pineal gland synchronize each other to maintain the biological clock through the melatonin hormone also. And this circadian rhythm is brings about the wakefulness, sleep and wakeful state. And the person is an adult person should sleep for the 6 to 8 hours for healthy mental and the physical state. And there is a behavioral changes and the electrophysiological changes. Electrophysiological changes can be recorded by the EEG, EMG, and EOG, whereas the behavioral responses are mostly the autonomic functions changes. And there is a dream also. And here we are coming to two parts. One is a wakefulness. There is mainly the beta rhythm is there during the wakefulness, whereas the sleep is there is a two parts. One is NREM sleep, or the slow wave sleep called, and this slow wave sleep has 4 stages. Obviously the sleep spindle appears at the second stage. There is the K complex. And REM sleep is mostly due to the punctogeniculate spikes, which is responsible for the moving of the eyeball. And this REM sleep is also again the beta rhythms are there. That's why it is called the paradoxical sleep. And hope it is a very good journey with me and this sleep discussion. Thank you.